Hello, everyone. It's so nice to see so many eager faces in my audience. Unfortunately, this act of seeing happens only in my mind's eye. Nevertheless, it's so inspiring to meet like-minded people and have the opportunity to discuss problems that we are passionate about. We're all gathered here to celebrate women's power, to emphasize the role of women in the world of technology, and to join our efforts to make our voices more audible. My name is Elitsa Krumova, and I am an independent professional tech influencer and thought leader. Over the last few years, I have been developing my personal brand. My previous experience includes working for some of the biggest tech companies. Can you imagine that at that time, I was the only woman at the enterprise hardware department of IBM in Bulgaria? This was, in fact, a steep but positive learning experience for me. However, I chose to stop being an employee of the big tech enterprise world. I decided to take this step and make this radical shift in order to manage to preserve my intellectual independence and to be able to convey my beliefs and ideas to an audience that I try to enlarge day by day. Some of you that have come across my media activity might have noticed the number of credits that I constantly give to various women and girl organizations around the world. Some Twitter members who don't know what cred means think that the posts are written by robots, and even Twitter algorithms often mistake such posts for spam. I do it with the sole purpose to increase the digital presence and credibility score of such organizations and to popularize their causes among people. This is just a simple example how a simple act of acknowledgement and respect to the others can lead to a bigger positive development. The mere fact that we are meeting virtually and not face to face is a telltale sign of the dramatic times we live in. Disturbed times require drastic actions. If we consider the Chinese meaning of the world crisis, the adverse circumstances we live in at present can also be seen as an opportunity to change the status quo. It is high time for women to stand their ground and to raise their voices for their equal share of the world. It is a widely acknowledged fact that women are underrepresented in a number of important spheres of our lives. According to the UK Office of National Statistics, in February 2021, 31% of UK tech jobs are currently held by women. This figure definitely demonstrates certain progress compared to the situation just a few years ago. But we should consider it just as a starting point for the bigger change that needs to be achieved. There are certain steps that should be taken to overcome the existing gender inequality in the world and in the domain of technology in particular. Firstly, stereotypes should be broken. If we consider the way women are presented in media, advertisements, and even in computer games, a lot needs to be reformed. The stereotypical thinking is at the root of the problem of misconception of the role of women in society, the jobs and activities that are appropriate, and I'll put that in inverted brackets, for them. Bridging the gender gap is the next big change that must be called for. This gap exists in career opportunities, often easily noticed when comparing the number of women who studied in the field of STEM and the number of women who have real-life professional realization in the same area. Part of the existing gender gap is the pay gap. I can share with you my personal experience and my real shock when, after graduating with a bachelor's degree from London Metropolitan University, I started looking for a job in advertising and marketing in London area. and I came upon a lot of online job advertisements directly stating a different salary for the same position for male and female employees. As I said, it was shocking for me to see such adverts because in my home country, Bulgaria, which some people might know as a good holiday destination, especially for wild youth, such pay gap factually does not exist, and it has never existed in the last 60 years or so. This fact might have some historical and political explanation, but we are not going to discuss it now. However, this gender pay gap does exist even in the most developed countries, and even official statistics categorically demonstrate it. Dr. Andrew Chamberlain, Glassdoor chief economist in 2017, conducted a separate study based on Glassdoor salary data. I will share with you some direct quotes from the executive summary of the said study because it is crucial for our discussion. This study examines the gender pay gap using a unique data set of hundreds of thousands of Glassdoor salaries shared anonymously by employees online. Unlike most studies, we include detailed statistical controls for specific job titles and company names. We estimate the gender pay gap in 5 countries: the United States, the United Kingdom, Australia, Germany, and France. Main takeaway: the gender pay gap is real, both in the US and around the world. Men earn more than women on average in every country we examined, both before and after adding statistical controls for personal characteristics, job title, company, industry, and other factors designed to make an apples-to-apples comparison between workers. How large is the gap? Based on more than 505,000 salaries shared by full-time US employees on Glassdoor, men earn 24.1% higher base pay than women on average. In other words, women earn about 76 cents per dollar men earn. This is consistent with official sources that show women earn on average 75 to 80 cents per dollar earned by men. However, comparing workers with similar age, education, and years of experience shrinks that gap to 19.2%. Further, comparing workers with the same job title, employer, and location, the gender pay gap in the US falls to 5.4%, which is 94.6 cents per dollar. We find a similar pattern in all 5 countries we examined: a large overall or unadjusted gender pay gap, which shrinks to a smaller adjusted pay gap once statistical controls are added. So this is the sad reality in some of the most developed countries, and as we see, statistical data is evidence for it, even though, as stated in the report, even data is adjusted. This act of inequality is one of the reasons that made me take the decision to return to my home country and start working from there. Thinking about the foundations of women equality, we should point out equal learning opportunities as one of the major pillars. In fact, this issue is closely interwoven with the deeply rooted stereotypes concerning not only gender, but also geographical region, social status, ethnicity, or sexual orientation. Recently, I came across a very insightful article. COVID's Lost Girl: Young Women See Decades of Progress Undone by Pandemic, by Bloomberg. The article states the following. Before COVID, the story of girls' progress over the past quarter century was largely a positive one. Although only about half of the world's girls were enrolled in school in 1998, 25 years later, that proportion has surged to 2 in 3, and the gender gap in education, which reflects the stubborn parental preference to invest in a son's education but not a daughter's, had closed in most countries. It's no longer the case that young men are significantly more likely than young women to be literate. However, the situation changed dramatically when COVID-19 struck. The article points out that Kenya, like most countries in sub-Saharan Africa, has so far been spared the worst of COVID. The extent of the indirect damage COVID has brought is difficult to measure. What's known so far, though, suggests that it could outweigh the disease's direct effects in Kenya and many other African nations. The economic and social fallout of shutdowns is concentrated among the young, and almost a quarter of Kenya's population is between 10 and 19. Young people have been hit by a shadow epidemic ripping through developing countries. It has had a devastating effect, especially on young girls who have been pushed out of the special shelter schools organized for them, thus decreasing their earning potential, putting them at greater risk of violence and potentially shortening their lives and those of their children. The above-mentioned article describes the worrying situation in sub-Saharan Africa, but it is sadly true for all developing countries. When the efforts for breaking stereotypes and ensuring equal learning opportunities are successful, there will be more girls who choose to study STEM subjects at school or university. A crucial means this aim to be achieved is the support of young talents, both moral and financial. This support should start from the family, but the society should also be active in aiding the future professionals in the area and the aspiring female leaders of the world. The good example is already set in this direction. There are already numerous examples of organizations which give women and girls access to educational resources and offer a lot of learning opportunities. Some of these organizations, which I have interacted with on social media, include She's the First, Girl Effect, Girls Inc., Girls Who Code, Black Girls Code, Latinas in Tech, Women Who Code, and others. However, an article from Fast Company and Think gives the disappointing fact that out of the 1.3 million active charities registered in the United States, only 45,000 are focused on women and girls. That means that nonprofits working to help women overcome the various inequalities they face receive just 1.6 of charitable giving. This means that a lot more needs to be achieved in order to achieve educational gender equality. The next pillar towards women equality is ensuring opportunity equality. In order this aim to be achieved, businesses should strive to assure greater work-life balance for all employees. This will give women the chance to find their professional fulfillment besides their realization as mothers and wives. This work-life balance should be enhanced by adequate parental leave policies. Businesses should be encouraged to support new parents and allow flexibility when they return from leave. This can only be achieved through appropriate legislation, which is valid also as a means to overcome the pay gap. IoT devices can be valuable aids for doing household chores, thus enabling women to devote their time to professional engagements and other things they like doing. The blooming IoT devices market is also a huge opportunity for professional realization of women in IoT because they have the knowledge of what they need and the imagination to create it. Seeing more women in top management and leadership positions is a vital part of equality, diversity, and inclusion movement. A report from the International Labour Office about women in managerial and leadership positions in the G20 from October 2020 states that only limited progress has been made in terms of women's full and effective participation and equal opportunities for leadership positions in the world of work over the past 10 years. None of the countries with available data reaches the target of 50% of women in senior and middle management positions, indicator 5.5.2 of the Sustainable Development Goals. The share of women in managerial positions is particularly low in occupations that are traditionally dominated by men. Overall, the public sector seems to provide more management opportunities for women than the private sector. Let's now talk about the IoT community, Internet of Things community in particular. It has been organizing the IoT Premier League competition for 3 years now. Each week, the IoT community publishes a ranking of the top 100 standings in all 3 divisions across individual thought leaders, industry analysts, corporate handles, and media. We can notice a rise of the number of female participants in the competition in 2021. However, for the last 2 years, among the top 10 winners, there is just one female member. This fact speaks for itself. It means that more women should be encouraged to step into the industry. Talking about women in managerial and leadership positions, we must mention the names of women who can be an inspiration for us all. If we focus only on the world of IoT, we should mention the names of Kelly Ireland, founder, CEO, and CTO of CBT, and Vice Chair of the Women in IoT Center of Excellence. Jane Howell, Internet of Things, Product Marketing at SAS, and Member at Large of the Women in IoT Center of Excellence. Michelle Anu, Principal Product Marketing Leader, Ansible Automation at Red Hat, and co-chair of the IoT community's Women in IoT Center of Excellence. And Professor Sally Eves, Chair of Cybertrust and Senior Policy Advisor for the Global Foundation of Cyber Studies and Research and CEO of Aspirational Futures. What really attracts the attention about the women in technology is the fact that all the leading names in the sphere have multidisciplinary expertise and achievements in various areas. This might be due to the typical women ability for multitasking, or to the fact that the world of technology nowadays requires much more skills than just being good at mathematics. As I have already mentioned, a positive move towards increase in the number of girls and women in STEM is observed over the last years. Towards the end of my speech, I would like to share with you some examples that I have come across, which I find really inspirational. Some of these examples are in the highly ambitious futuristic space sector. The Space Generation Advisory Council, in support of the United Nations Program on Space Applications, is a global, non-governmental, non-profit US 501c3 organization and network which aims to represent university students and young space professionals ages 18 to 35 to the United Nations, space agencies, industry, and academia. The SGAC network of members, volunteers, and alumni has grown to more than 16,000 members, representing more than 165 countries. This council created the Diversity and Gender Equality, our Giant Leap project group in 2021. The project group works on the topics of diversity, inclusion, and equality within the aerospace sector. Space for Women project, launched by the United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs, is another positive example aiming at bridging the gender gap and ensuring that women and girls play an active and equal role in space science, technology, innovation, and exploration. A remarkable Boeing company initiative is the Girls STEM Pathway Initiative. The Girls STEM Pathway Initiative is dedicated to engaging girls with 21st century skills to fuel their imaginations and provide authentic learning experiences in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics careers. The aim of the initiative is to give opportunities to girls to venture into the intriguing world of space science. Another worth mentioning project is led by NASA. NASA is collaborating with a well-known doll and book company to inspire children to dream big and reach for the stars. Through a Space Act agreement, NASA partnered with American Girl to share the excitement of space with the public and, in particular, inspire young girls to learn about science, technology, engineering, and math. Girls in Tech is a non-profit organization. It conducts virtual hackathons. Girls in Tech's virtual hackathons are designed to provide girls with hands-on technical experience. The hackathons are 2-week-long events that invite girls with a variety of skill sets to work together online and use technology to solve real-world problems, and IoT solutions are often in the mix. One example of a result achieved during the hackathons is that in 2020, the winning group developed an IoT biosensor system that lets healthcare staff get accurate, real-time, high-temperature alerts without wasting PPE during the COVID-19 pandemic. This is a bright example of girls immersing themselves in the world of IoT. And now a positive example from my personal experience resulting from my encounter with bright and inspiring women. Recently, I joined an NFT project called Cyber Cosmos World. The project is founded by Ankita Dakar and is based on 10,000 NFT randomly generated digital cyber avatars of various rarity living on the Ethereum blockchain. Cybercosmos characters are all female characters, and they resemble a cross between Xena, warrior princess, and the Black Widow. They come complete with a detailed science fiction cybersecurity mythology in which intergalactic Amazons in the year 2070 form a team which battles to change mindsets about women in the cyber field and the capability of women to provide cybersecurity. The 10,000 NFT cyber warriors represent ethos of strength, fairness, and equal opportunities for women. The public sale starts on March the 31st, 2022. For more intriguing details, you can explore the world of Cybercosmos at cybercosmos.world. One particular reason for launching the project is the lack of gender diversity in cryptocurrency, more specifically, non-fungible tokens. The token industry has become a highly exclusive space for males. The founder of the project, The Car, believes that the Cybercosmos NFTs can achieve 3 goals in one. The girl power flavor of the artwork attached to each NFT could catch the attention of school leavers. Women taking over an NFT should get returns on their investments. And each Cybercosmos NFT increases the representation of women in STEM. The women in the project believe that the future is female. We're excited, and I say we because as I just mentioned, I joined this project as well, to launch and build a global community of strong females. We're not simply talking about women's rights here. Rather, we want to focus on all the different things that make a woman great: her strength, her resilience, her ambition. The aim is to create a long-term brand and community which benefits everyone as the project grows, but especially women. With the launch of the NFT collection, we intend to raise funds that will be used to donate to charities at 50% sale, to organize awareness campaigns, conferences, and to set up a support group that will help young women across the globe looking to have a career in STEM. We are on a mission to bring 100,000 women into STEM by the end of 2022 and create job opportunities through this project and increase the representation of women in the industry. I would appeal to everyone who is already intrigued by this exciting and inspiring project to promote it so that more people get to know about it and become owners of one of these unique cyber warrior characters. We would appreciate any kind of help to bring life to a powerful female representation in the metaverse and crypto and NFT world. I would like to conclude with the statement that women are gentle and fair, and such is their power. It is time for more power in women's hands so that the world can become a more pleasant place to live in. Thank you very much for your attention. In case you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Katie and Georgia, you may come in.
Sorry about that, Elitsa. That was brilliant. We have some questions for you if you have time to answer them. You mentioned about your project. I was just wondering how it's going on your mission to get all those women together in STEM.
As I mentioned, the public sale is about to start in March, but we're actually hoping to make the public well aware of the project even before the public sale. So far, we have contacted the major charity organizations, and including, well, the ones which I mentioned during my speech. Unfortunately, so far, we still don't have replies. I guess such organizations do get a lot of requests for partnership and funding. Well, in our case, for our project, I would say that having attention from different media outlets and industries and influential individuals would be enough, because the NFT cyber warriors are actually a good NFT collection to own. And having in mind the buzz around metaverse and NFT, I think that a lot of women should be highly excited to own such pieces.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you also for sharing with us some of the women that inspire you within the industry, especially Kelly Ireland, who is actually speaking this afternoon as well. So make sure you stick around for that one. We have some more questions for you. One of the ones we have are, did you face any significant barriers as a female starting your career in tech? If so, how did you overcome those?
Well, I would say that I didn't have to face any barriers, given that I'm good at psychology, and it is also part of my education.
Yeah.
Another thing as a personal trait is that I have always been able to manage to immerse myself in male environment, being one of the guys.
Yeah.
So even in a drastic situation like, as I mentioned, as hardware engineer in IBM, I was the only female among 31 males.
Yes, wow.
Even in that situation, I was able to immerse myself in the conversation and just being part of the team.
Yeah.
However, for young girls, I would say that I do see, apart from hoping this to have different effect in the future and to have more women in STEM and tech, I do see actually more women in strictly male positions, like, for example, hardware engineering.
Yeah.
Because, well, women often prefer more soft tech industries like coding, designing products, and so on. But I do see a positive change in that direction too, compared to 10 years ago. So time cures everything, obviously, and we hope for seeing more of this effect actually happening in fast pace. Because yes, it is urgent to have more representation in the industry. And for young girls, I would advise them not to be afraid to try, because, well, anyone can make changes in their careers and life paths, but not trying anything would be worse than not trying at all.
That is so true. Yeah, that's a really good piece of advice there. That's it for all the questions. Thank you so much for joining us, Elitsa. It was brilliant. We actually have another talk starting now, well, in the next 10 minutes, and that is with Ramona Maffiacci from Digital Catapult, and she's going to be talking about benchmarking your IT solutions. So if you want to head back to the lobby, you'll be able to join that session very soon. Thank you so much, Elitsa. We hope that you stick around and join us for the rest of the day, but if not, we'll see you soon.